Hi teachers! Today I'm going to be modeling a remote science lesson for 4th grade ecosystems. You will join a live session by clicking on your digital session tab, clicking open on the lesson, and clicking join live classroom. Good afternoon students, how are you today? I'm so excited to share with you a really fun lesson on ecosystems. Before we get started, go ahead and go to Hello Smart and enter that class code that I gave you yesterday. Once you have that done, give me a thumbs up so I know that you guys are ready to go on. Awesome, thank you. Very good. All right, so today's lesson is going to be teacher paced, so I will be clicking through the slides. At one point, you will have a chance to do things on your own, but you're going to stay with me to begin with. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. All right, here's what I want you to do. In just a second, I am going to give you the capability to write down one word that describes an ecosystem, but I want you to look at this picture. We have the word ecosystem, and then I have an example model right there for you. I want you to write one word that describes an ecosystem. I want you to think about everything that you've learned this week about the roles of organisms and the flow of energy. And I want you to just focus on one word that would describe an ecosystem. All right, you ready? I'm gonna give you, let's see. I'm gonna give you, I thought I had a timer on here. Go ahead, I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to write that one word, go. Nice, I see you guys participating. We got some great words here. So I have the word food. Absolutely. Do we find food in an ecosystem? Yes. Community, great word. Yeah, an ecosystem is just a community of living and non-living things, how they interact. Environment, Johanna, great word. Habitat is a great word also to describe an ecosystem. And I love Megan had the word diverse. That's really good because there is a ton of diversity in an ecosystem. Like I said, it's the interaction between living and non-living things in a small area, right? All right, so moving on today, we have this amazing phenomenon. I have a picture of it right here, but we're gonna watch a short clip in just a second about a place that's actually here in Georgia. And I want you to think about all those words that you just shouted out to me about an ecosystem and see if we can't find some of those things in this phenomenon clip. All right, so just bear with me for a second and get it going.
Welcome back to Georgia Traveler. Let's now put on the hiking boots and head to Lumpkin, where I venture deep into scenic Providence Canyon. Arizona has the Grand Canyon, and Georgia has its own Little Grand Canyon. About 30 miles south of Columbus and Lumpkin, you will find Providence Canyon State Park. 150 feet down, layer by layer, survey the geology of this rich Georgia soil. 16 canyons offering breathtaking views from the ridgeline scenic overlooks or from the red clay canyon floor.
Providence Canyon is one of Georgia's 7 natural wonders, and as you can see, nature has played a major role. But the canyon itself is a result of erosion.
All right, so we're gonna go back to our screen. I have this photo here for you so you actually see what Providence Canyon in Georgia looks like. Here's what I want us to do. I want you to start thinking of questions. What questions do you have about Providence Canyon? We're going to use our guiding question board throughout the day today and tomorrow as we research about Providence Canyon. So what I want you to do right now is write down any and all questions that you have. I am going to give you, let's see, do I have this one? Nope. Ooh, great question already. Get going with those questions. I'm going to give you 1 minute to write down as many questions as you can think of. Go. Nice. Good. Great questions. Ooh, nice. All right, we have some quick. You guys have about 30 seconds left. Very great. Yes, great questions. All right, some of the questions that we have are, how did the canyon form? Excellent. How was it formed? How many little Grand Canyons can fit into Providence Canyon? What makes up an ecosystem? Do we have more canyons like that in Georgia? Awesome questions, Guy. Will it always look like that? Yes. How do ecosystems in the canyon stay balanced? Very good question. How long did it take to make? Very good. You know, the next step for us is to kind of look at our questions, and we're going to do some research today to see what we can learn about how this canyon is formed and why it happened. And then we're going to add our evidence to support our answers after we learn a little bit about Providence Canyon today. We're going to come back to our questioning board. All right, so can humans change an ecosystem? That's what we're going to narrow down today and try to figure out what happened in Providence Canyon. So when you think about changes in an ecosystem, we've spent all of last week and yesterday learning about the different aspects or the interactions in an ecosystem, what components are in an ecosystem. We talked about the energy sources and the transfer of that energy through food chains with our producers, consumers, and decomposers. And now we're going to talk about how that ecosystem can be changed and if it's possible for humans to change that ecosystem. So I have some little clip art pictures right here for you. I would like for, let's see, Johanna, can you unmute yourself and tell me what you think those pictures mean?
It means that these are the things that have affected the Providence Canyon in either a good way or a bad way.
Okay, anyone else? Let's see. Katie, can you tell me what you think these pictures mean?
I need to unmute myself. I think they talk about hunting with the deer and burning and building.
Okay, so I have these pictures underneath the question, can humans change an ecosystem? These 4 pictures represent ways, different ways that humans actually do change ecosystems. And that first one that you guys identified, construction, yes. How can construction change an ecosystem? You think about all the things that we've talked about, the interactions between living and non-living things, the flow of energy. How would that be affected by construction? I want you to just think about that. And then the next picture, of course, is hunting. One of you guys identified that. That can change an ecosystem. When you wipe out a population of an organism or a specific animal, that's going to interrupt the flow. And then, of course, logging will definitely change an ecosystem when you're taking something out, like a plant or a food source. And then, of course, pollution. Pollution can change an ecosystem. But none of those are what happened in Providence Canyon. And today what you're going to do is you're going to figure out what happened and why that canyon formed. Okay? So right now we're going to do a how I feel about this topic. So far we're doing a science quick check. I want you to respond. Are you totally getting this? I mostly understand, but I have questions, or I'm still kind of confused. Give me an A, B, or C, and we can see where we are, if we need to go back and reiterate some things or talk about changes in ecosystems, but it looks like everybody is pretty much confident that they're totally getting it. All right, so we have 83%, that's good. All right, if you have a question, please just raise your hand in the Zoom and we can stop and talk about it. All right, so let's talk about what you're going to do today. So we have looked at that video, we saw it in person, we have our picture right here, but those questions were all about how the Providence Canyon formed, right? So today in your work session, you're going to research the answers to these questions. At the end of that video, I stopped it really quick before he could get into talking about erosion, but I was wondering if anybody heard that special science word at the end of that video. But he talked about the fact that Providence Canyon was caused by erosion. But you're going to find out specifically what caused those changes to happen. So you're going to research the following questions, and I'm going to give you links to do that. But what farming practices caused the erosion in the canyon? And how has that changed the living and non-living factors of the ecosystem? We know that humans can cause changes in an ecosystem, but now we're going to talk about specifically farming practices and how that causes erosion and how it changes the living and non-living components or factors of the ecosystem. Why are we doing this? Well, you're going to find those answers today, and tomorrow, this is the fun part, you're going to develop a presentation to help farmers fix the problem at Providence Canyon. You're going to think about what practices can ensure that we as humans do not cause bad changes in an ecosystem based on practices. So how are you going to do this? I'm not just going to send you off and expect you to find things on your own. I'm going to help you out a little bit. So I have gotten some links for you. These links are going to take you directly to some articles and some websites that are going to give you answers to those questions and help you figure out and develop an explanation so you can construct an argument. All right. So remember, those questions are: what farming practices caused the erosion, and how has this changed the living and non-living factors of the ecosystem? Okay, just stop sharing my screen for a second. You still have that up. Does anybody have any questions before you go off and do your research today? Nope. Okay. 15, I'm going to put my timer on for 20 minutes, and then we're going to come back in 20 minutes. Got it? Give me a thumbs up. Okay. All right. All right, guys, 20 minutes is up. Come. If you have the opportunity now that you've done your research and you can write on the what we learned side about how that canyon was formed, you can do that now, or you can wait and do that a little bit later when you are going to go back and share what you have learned today on slide 9. So now that we have gotten through this, I don't have any students that have done that, but I want you to go to slide 9 here. And I want you to explain what you've learned, if you are able to, on your device. Now, do I have any student volunteers that would like to share what they've learned before they write it down? If so, you can unmute yourself and let us know.
I learned that farming practices really do make a difference when we're dealing with erosion.
Right, that's right. Anybody else want to add to what Christian said? Yep. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen one more time. Okay, here we are. All right, so I want you to look at the questions that you put down in on the questioning column. And what I would like for you to do before class tomorrow, since you have access to this smart notebook, I would like for you to start answering your questions and providing some evidence for us. And when we get back together tomorrow, we're going to look at these questions again, and we're going to talk about what we learned. And then we're going to write down some of the evidence. So we can answer some of these questions about how did that canyon form? Will it always look like that? Do we have more canyons? I'm sure you got a couple of those answers from the research that you did today. Now, thinking ahead to tomorrow, remember, you're going to be using this information that you learned to create a presentation. Let's look really quick at those directions again, because we're going to jump right into it tomorrow. So with the research that you did today, you're going to develop a presentation to help the farmers fix the problems at Providence Canyon. Christian told us that this canyon was formed because of bad farming practices that caused erosion. So think about what practices can ensure that we don't cause those bad changes in the ecosystem. All right, let's see. Any other questions before we move away from science today? Awesome. Well, I will see you guys in about 15 minutes for our next lesson. All right. Thanks, guys. Take a break, go use the restroom, get a snack.